Hello, story lovers, and welcome back to Fairy Folktales. We're diving straight into the heart of the drama with episode 11. If you thought things were getting intense before, you're about to see just how deep the palace intrigue goes. Last time, Amara found herself in the quiet, secluded East Wing, a place shrouded in secrets. Let's find out what happens next. The eastern wing of the palace was a world away from the bustling courtyards Amara was used to. It was hushed, carrying the scent of aged wood and whispered secrets. Two stoic guards had led her down a long, narrow corridor, the flickering light of oil lamps dancing on the walls. They stopped before a heavy, intricately carved wooden door. "This is your new room," one of the guards announced, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "No one comes here except by the king's direct order." His words hung in the air, a clear warning. With that, they turned and left, their footsteps echoing down the hallway until silence fell once more. Amara took a deep breath and pushed the heavy door open. The chamber inside was small, but surprisingly neat. Thick curtains were drawn over the windows. A simple table and chair sat in one corner, and a single bed was neatly made against the far wall. One window, she noticed, faced the moonlit gardens, offering a sliver of the outside world. It felt safe, a refuge from the prying eyes of the court. But at the same time, it felt like a gilded cage, trapping her within its quiet walls. She was hidden, but she was also a prisoner. At the first light of dawn, the deep, resonant sound of distant drums jolted her from a restless sleep. In the palace, the royal drums meant only one thing: a royal summons. And an unease settled in her stomach. By mid-morning, the entire court had gathered in the grand throne hall. The air was thick with anticipation. The king sat tall and imposing on his throne, his crown glinting under the high chandeliers, his face a mask of unreadable authority. Moments later, the queen made her grand entrance. She moved with a calculated grace, every shimmering jewel on her body seeming to announce her power and status. She took her place beside the king, her posture rigid. A court messenger then stepped forward, his voice echoing in the cavernous hall. "Your Majesty," he began, bowing low. "A thief was caught near the royal library last night." The queen's eyes, sharp and cold, narrowed instantly. "A thief?" The guards then dragged a trembling man forward and threw him before the throne. Amara, peeking from behind a heavy velvet curtain where she had hidden herself, felt her heart leap into her throat. She recognized him immediately. It was Obina, one of the younger kitchen servants. He was deathly pale, his eyes wide with terror, and a fresh cut on his arm was bleeding, staining his simple tunic. "Speak," the king ordered, his voice a low rumble that commanded obedience. Obina collapsed to his knees, his body shaking uncontrollably. "Mercy, my king, mercy," he pleaded, his voice cracking. "I wasn't stealing, I swear it. I was only listening." He looked desperately from the king to the queen. "I heard whispers, someone speaking of a hidden maid, a maid kept in the East Wing." A collective gasp swept through the hall. The air crackled with sudden tension. The queen's head snapped toward the king, her eyes blazing with a mixture of shock and accusation. Amara, still concealed behind the curtain, felt her own pulse hammering in her ears. This was it. The secret was out. "Who told you this?" the king demanded, his voice dangerously low. Obina hesitated, then stammered, "A woman." "Your Majesty," she said. She said the queen wanted proof. All eyes turned to the queen. She rose sharply from her seat, her face a mask of outrage. "Lies," she boomed, her voice ringing with indignation. "This is a preposterous fabrication." But it was too late. The seed of suspicion had been planted, and the court was already murmuring amongst themselves, their whispers like the hissing of snakes. The king's voice cut through the rising noise, cold and sharp as a shard of ice. He was in control, but a storm was brewing in his eyes. "Search the palace," he commanded, his gaze sweeping over his guards. "From the kitchens to the East Wing. Leave no stone unturned. Bring me the truth." Amara's blood ran cold. The truth? If they searched the East Wing, they would find her. Her new chamber, Her supposed sanctuary was about to become a trap. Her mind raced, searching for an escape, any way out. Her eyes darted to the narrow window in her hiding spot, the one that looked out onto the gardens. And then she saw it. Outside, a faint shadow moved along the garden wall, a figure, cloaked in darkness, watching the palace. Watching *her*. A spy. Who was this person? A friend, or another enemy in this deadly Game of Thrones? And that's where we leave it for today. What a cliffhanger! The net is closing in on Amara, the queen is on the defensive, and now there's a mysterious spy in the garden. What will happen next? You'll have to tune in for episode 12, The Spy in the Garden and the Queen's Trap, to find out. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you're enjoying this series, please hit that like button. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single moment of the unfolding drama. We'll see you next time on Fairy Folktales.